Can you hear me? Because I can't hear you. Draft Signs is now in 3 times. Google Hangouts is doing this shit often.
Oh, yeah, cool. I'm in the room 4 times.
Okay, my camera is not here because it was in the other program. I wonder if I can do it now. I'll probably have to reload. Maybe I'll do that later. How are you doing? I was thinking, this would be a good time. We were talking about doing a room and you're up late, but I don't know if you saw. I contacted you on Skype. Said you were online.
Well, it doesn't matter what it says, obviously. Can't go by
Yeah.
that. I mean, I don't turn it off every time I'm not available.
Well, yeah. No, with me, I just pile up messages in there, so I'm not accusing anything because I don't notice when Skype says something. But yeah, I almost called you. So yeah, what do you think? I mean, it's an interesting thing. I think you were turned out to be right in like the sense that politically, I disagree with you that the immigration thing is such a big deal, but that it did win for Trump. And you had said that basically he was taking issues that, other people could easily take, or maybe, I don't want to speak for you, but Democrats could take. Now, I agree with that. And right now, I'm into hoping he does something about these. Like the NAFTA did fuck over America.
I know.
He can't really rewrite that, but he can veto TPP. I mean, if he does that, I'll be like, okay, Trump. I want him to fail because I hate him, but on the other hand, I don't really want him to fail right now.
TPP is nothing, as if NAFTA was nothing. I mean, it was sort of a delusion that people had that this was really going to make any difference. I mean, you're not going to stop the fact that money is going to get invested in countries that have cheap labor, and all that these agreements do is it provides a way for businesses to have some guarantees that they're not going to lose their investment to nationalization or something. So it makes an insecure investment into a secure investment, and it gives them also a way to sell American products because that's part of the deal. But I'm just saying, you will not create one single American job by stopping TPP. Not one.
Well,
And all you're really going to do is give China the advantage because
oh,
instead of us investing
right.
in Indonesia and all these other countries, China's going to do it.
Well,
So
mind you, you can say that Trump can't really do this, but I'm just in the mindset of, okay, take him seriously if that's possible. He says, for example, he would charge a 35% tariff on
well, I'm just
anybody.
saying that even if he did what he says, this will not create jobs in America. So how the fuck is that going to create one single manufacturing job? It's not.
Well, because we could afford to make the cars we buy here.
Right, right. So you'll get much more expensive products, and you'll get
Well,
higher
but
salaries to buy your
Gary,
more
I
expensive
agree, Gary.
products.
The
That's
product,
called zero sum economics. That won't give you a better life.
Gary, I don't. Yes, the products might be more expensive in theory, and they'd probably do
Not
that.
in theory. They will
No,
be.
but wait, I don't remember them getting cheaper. When they moved the auto manufacturers to Mexico, they just kept the difference, right?
Well,
I don't
they
remember
obviously
cars getting
became
any
more.
cheaper.
They became more competitively viable as companies that made cars. We already know again the
But for
car
Americans,
manufacturers couldn't make any money making
you
cars.
know what? That's a nice theory, Gary.
The only way money they made was in selling the frickin' leasing contract.
But well, that's true. That's an interesting subject. But anyway, but no, Gary, I mean, the price of cars for Americans didn't take a huge dive, right? That's what should have happened. If it was all fair, we would have lost some of our jobs, but the cars would have gone
That's the
half in
problem of the
price.
1% again.
But they
Nobody's
didn't.
dealing with the real
The
problem, which is
1% kept the
economics of the
difference.
1%. So I'm just saying, until you fix the
Right.
fucking rich problem, you're fixing nothing.
Well, no, that's where we agree. That's what I'm saying is that really those guys took the difference. And if they had, put it into welfare or something, maybe the guys would have had a cushion, that lost their jobs in Detroit. That's why Hillary lost the election, not because people are stupid. That seems and is a part of it, but really it's because they're not stupid. They know Hillary and Bill Clinton, put African Americans in jail. They shipped our factories overseas, and they know that.
They're real on that subject because right in their fucking platform, it states right in there that you wanted to fucking reduce the sentences of non-violent criminals in prison.
Yeah. But what's your position on that?
I was talking about her position. She had right in on her own website, okay, that she wanted to reduce the sentences of non-violent criminals, drug offenders in prison.
But you support that, right?
Well, of course I support it, but I'm saying that any notion that you just said.
But see, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. She's very Feinstein, very pro cop money, very pro, Libya.
Not compared to Trump, she sure as fuck isn't.
What?
Not compared to Trump, she isn't. The only charity Trump has given to in the last 10 years is cops.
My wife's going to bed. I was just saying good night. Yeah, no, I agree. And it's very Feinstein and very law and order Democrat. One good thing about this election is that it should be the final, nail in the, well, not the final, but a nail in the coffin on these third wave conservative Democrats. They've been since.
Well, I'm just saying all this talk like Bernie Sanders was going to beat Donald Trump is all bullshit. Okay?
No, that's not bullshit. I think.
I'm sorry, it's bullshit. So your fantasy that the Democratic Party needs to go back to some kind of tax and spend bullshit. That doesn't work either. So the solution of everybody should have free everything. Well, no, Bernie.
Look, maybe Bernie is not. Wait, maybe Bernie doesn't represent me.
Donald Trump, he would have got slaughtered.
I don't see Bernie as a tax and spend liberal. Maybe he is. So, but what I'm seeing is that if we build infrastructure and we invest in certain things, we'll see benefits.
Crap, that's not a federal responsibility. Okay, so unless you're talking about a Hoover Dam or something, that's another pile of shit. That's just another way of. Look, Donald Trump's setting you people up right again. As soon as he said the word infrastructure, what he really means is I'm going to raise the fuel taxes so I can lower the taxes on the rich. Okay, he's going to take progressive taxation and turn it into regressive taxation. This is fucking Ronald Reagan's bullshit all over again.
Yeah, no. I think you're right. I'm in a mode where I'm like.
Yeah, you're in a mode. I was just gonna make a response to your.
Wait, but give me a break to say what the mode is.
Fucking Trump has one fucking good idea. He has zero good ideas. Every fucking thing he's ever done in his fucking life has been developed to.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you, and I think he's a big example of the inheritance problem.
Exactly. That's what should have been dragged through the media is this inheritance.
But until he becomes president,
human fucking being, and the fact that nobody could do that, the fucking Young Turks are all a bunch of queers. I mean, they're all fucking worried about shit like they pervert every subject into the fucking progressive agenda, and the progressive agenda is again putting solar panels on roofs, which isn't even fucking progressive.
Right. Yeah, well, the thing is, for me, it's just that we're in a period where I want to notice that he's better than Ted Cruz or some psychotic like that.
Well, he isn't much better. I don't know on
not much better. Not much better. I know it'll be like you say, Gary.
Better on.
What I'm saying.
He's gonna put fucking goddamn Scalia, the dead.
I know it's gonna be like you say. I know it's gonna be like you say, and we can actually talk about it from a realistic point of view. But I just kind of think, to a certain degree, right now I'm looking at, well, where's the things that he promised stuff I want, like don't do TPP. And I want to call him on that, but I know really it's not going to work out like that.
This is why there's no.
He's already hiring the banksters and stuff that the same ones Hillary wanted.
The criminals, the banks work for the rich.
Well, there's this guy from one of them.
Can identify a proper target. I mean, fucking Bernie Sanders is talking about taxing businesses. You don't tax businesses, you stupid cunts. You tax the rich.
So, but here's an interesting thing. If Trump is just going to hire the same people Hillary was going to, then won't that backfire on him? Isn't there a positive in it,
Bush
in
was
it
he's
backfiring?
going to hire the old Bush people. He's not hiring the Hillary people.
Well, there's this banker guy, Sider or something like that, that he's talking about hiring, and
Well,
that's the same guy that Clinton would have. That it's the head of Goldman Sachs or
yeah, right,
something.
right. Well, it's the only bank in business. It's the one that
Well, right now that's the funny thing about Hillary.
the bank in charge
Wait,
of the $4 trillion in the
well,
fucking
Gary,
reserve.
the reason I was willing to get behind Hillary, and I did actually get behind her, not just begrudgingly, was like her attitude is, yeah, who do you have to hire? You guys are the experts in banking, so of course I hire you. We saw that in WikiLeaks. But and so Trump is faced with the same thing. And if you're realistic, yeah, there is some truth to who are you going to hire. On the other hand, no. What it is that Trump is establishment. I mean, inherited your money. He's as establishment as anybody. The idea that he's not, that's what you and I would agree on, I would think, is that he is establishment. He plays the game the same way. He's probably going to hire some of the same people, some of the different people. It doesn't matter. They're all the same.
What he is. I mean, the art of the deal is the art of the steal. It's not about making a deal. It's about making a steal. And he has done nothing in his existence that isn't about ripping somebody the fuck off. He doesn't make money doing productive things. He makes money fucking people.
Did you ever read that book? I never did.
Well, I don't need to read it because
No, I've heard a ton of excerpts and stuff. Yeah, The Art of the Steal, but I was just curious. I mean, I would never read it, but I have seen interviews of the guy that actually wrote it, that actually came up with terms like, what was it? Truthful hyperbole.
Yeah, well,
and he said, there is no such thing, and I knew it when I created the term. Yeah, I feel bad.
It's just distraction. It's just gameplay. Yes, of course, if I sit there and create a situation where I get the guy I'm doing business with to go to a hooker, then I can compromise his position. It's just like it's like explaining how to run a mob.
Well, one reason I wanted to talk to you about Trump is I kind of was assuming that you might, like me, being similar ages, have become aware of Trump at least a little bit in the 80s, way back, because it was greed is good, and he was the poster boy of that. The only poster boy I can remember, though there was many, but, he was really the poster boy of greed is good in the 80s thing.
But he was always a fucking joke to anybody with a brain, and that's the part that's disgusting.
Well, everybody, that's the thing. That's what I'm talking to you about.
Fucking joke.
For people that remember him from that era, the idea that he would become president that's not a part of it. That's like impossible, really. Right. It's like if that sidekick on David Letterman became president, or Chauncey Gardner.
Well, none of those are available to become president because obviously we are in idiocracy, which just means any celebrity can be president. All you have to do is the fucking celebrity because nobody can take any kind of, no one pays any fucking attention. The media doesn't give a fuck about it.
But you're not joking, Gary. It literally, I know a lot of Europeans and stuff, and it literally, not just Europeans, but Russians and people around the world, like you can these days. And Trump being the president, well, actually, it's weird because about half of the people around the world, they're having the same problem with the psychotic right wing that think Trump will be good. But we are the idiocracy now. I mean, with Trump president, you can't pretend anymore that there's any of but America did this or that. I mean, we may have done this or that, but basically we are the idiocracy now. Trump, it's like bing, ding-a-ling-a-ding, bang-a-bow, bang, bang. Hey, welcome to America. It's like the most ridiculous thing I could imagine.
Yeah, no, we have completely, it was bad enough Clinton getting blowjobs in the White House. We have gone so low.
Oh
There's
yeah,
just
that's nothing now. Blowjobs are
you
innocent.
don't
Who
even go.
cares?
You can't even go. This is so preposterous. Like I said, I I would pay. Okay, literally, I would pay $5,000 to have the choice to vote for Richard Nixon.
There's no way he's worth $1 billion if he owed $1 billion
Well,
20
the
years
point
ago and he still hasn't made that back,
yeah,
and
yeah,
therefore
yeah.
he pays no taxes. So he's not even a billionaire. That's
He
the
hasn't even
sad thing.
made the billion back. He might still be
Right.
a billionaire, but he obviously
Well,
hasn't
could
paid
he?
back.
Because
He
wait,
hasn't
but
paid back the billion
I don't
dollars.
think
So,
so. I'm not sure about that because if you have the assets to pay those taxes, you can't defer. You know what I mean? If you say I lost $1 billion, that wouldn't matter if you
well,
had
the
2 billion cash in the bank.
real
They'd make you
sneaky
sell it.
motherfucking thing the cunt does. The cunt, know what the cunt does to avoid taxes? He paid himself in salary, right? So that year when he filed, he
Yes.
had something like $200 million in gains, and he paid himself $7,000 in salary. So
Yeah.
his only personal income was $7,000.
Yeah.
What a
Well, the
fucking
thing is, what I love is he's being audited, and that could be a thing because I think
well, it's not going to be a thing now.
jail.
Actually.
What was it? Put him in jail. Wait, what was the Trump thing? I mean, the Hillary thing.
Well, he'll be prison, not president or whatever.
No, yeah, that's what it's got to be with. Well, one thing, the Democrats are totally unreliable. They have half a intelligence about them, a wit about them, they will just do the thing that the Republicans have been doing, which is,
Well, that's
okay,
look,
we're going to try to prosecute you for
no,
4 years because that guy's a mobster.
well, that's not going to get them anywhere.
No, but
I'm
it
just
doesn't
saying,
have to.
it's these stupid
Well,
vacillating
it will get them
morons,
somewhere.
right? We know there's only one tiny percentage, 20% of the population that is a vacillating Reagan, whatever Democrats, these fucking cunts who switch sides on a whim, and it's those assholes who are
Undecided voters.
yeah,
Oh my
the
God.
undecided retards that are fucking us.
I can't figure out.
And we knew that this election, the subject for those morons, okay, was immigration. That was the subject for those.
Well, right, I told you, I grant.
He had exactly the wrong
You were right
message.
about that.
She kept saying it over and over and over again. She never could open her mouth and say, "Yeah, I get it. We got too many fucking people with not enough skills in America. I got it."
Well, I disagree with that. So I think there are ways for her to win without saying that. But I acknowledge that I think you're right. I think that was a big gist of this election. It's going on all over the world.
Well, I mean, it was just kind of obvious. There's nothing. Trump said it. He could go out in the street and shoot somebody, and it wasn't going to change anybody's mind. I mean, it was over. Okay. I mean, she had.
Well, that's the thing, really, about Hillary. Look, it was
she had
close enough.
nothing to fucking say. All she said was Europe took more of the crazy Muslims. That was her response.
Well, did you see her ads? I mean, they were online as well as TV, and they were all like pharmacy ads about how Trump hurt the feeling of little kids. And it's like, I think one ad like that is appropriate, but she did not. She could have even lied, right? She could have just taken Bernie's issues, lied, not done it in the end, and said she was going to. But she didn't even make those ads
Bernie issues
at all.
Either, though. Bernie's issues were pie in the fucking sky. Everybody.
No, but I'm talking the politics. But I'm talking the politics of. She didn't even try to do that. She just tried to say, well, he's a racist and says scary things like every fucking show you like every comedian you like every single person you watch.
Well, it doesn't. Like I said, it just doesn't matter. She had no response on the subject. That's the point. The point is she had no answer to the problem of immigration. Her answer was, "It's not my problem."
I'm gonna reload and see if I get my video. Hold on.
Well, I can't stay all night. I gotta, so 20 more minutes or so.
I guess not. Anyway, So, I mean, so the issue is now that we've got this 4 years of Trump. You and I are similar ages, and it's like at this point, it's like I realize, well, one thing is that this guy is our political backdrop. People like you and me, by the way, IRV passed in Maine, but people like you and me, maybe this is an opportunity to actually turn, the social activism, especially not just like run of the mill social activism, but what actual individuals think, into a thing because we,
You can't do it. You can't do it unless you're going to force people to up their game, okay? And the game doesn't get up. Like I said, just watch the Young Turks, okay? They talk about being the outsider media, and every day they look more and more like the insider media. Every day,
yeah,
more and more a comedy show than it is a fucking educational show. Every fucking day, they gloss over the truth
yeah.
to make their arguments. They
Well,
just
they've always been that way, though, Gary. They've always been that way.
deal with, and that's all they deal with. Well, I'm just saying that's your alternative media, and it sucks.
Well, you don't watch. Do you watch the Majority Report? It's actually really good. The Majority Report with Sam Cedar.
I don't even know how you can stomach that shit, but whatever.
Well, what's the matter with it? You've watched it?
I saw a clip of it, and it's all right wing shit from as far as I can tell.
No, no, you must be thinking of somebody else.
No, I said Majority Report and blah blah blah, and they were saying.
No, the Majority Report is very liberal. It started on Air America.
Well, I guess the definition of liberal is
No,
not.
no, 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 no. You must be thinking of someone else. They're very liberal.
I'm just saying I saw the clip and I saw what the guy was saying, and it wasn't liberal.
Well, it must have been somebody else, is what I'm telling you.
Well, what I'm saying is that you consider yourself a liberal, and I don't think a single thing you're talking is rational. So, I guess
Well,
the majority.
what am I not saying rationally?
Report falls into the same category.
What am I not saying rationally? I mean,
Irrational.
the issue right now, actually, if you challenge my rationality, would be fun. But
why do this to the argument? You keep saying things like "I'm for open borders." Now, do you think that goes into somebody's head and they say, "Well, Piro's really talking about 700 years from now when we have an equitable economy and it'll actually make sense to have an open border because people won't be running from poverty and they won't be just exploiting your social service system."
No.
Yeah. No, he's talking about open borders then. What
are you talking about? You're talking about convincing people or something. No, I just believe in being honest. When I have a way out idea, I just say it.
700 miles ahead of the fucking horses. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people talking about pie in the sky.
Right, but what's the problem with Gary? I'm asking you what
fucking debt. We got $20 million.
What the problem is with that?
Everybody's talking about what we should rebuild our bridges.
Gary, if the herd is over here, and maybe there's a smart reason they're over there, that's where the flowers are blossoming that everybody's eating, and I am way over there, and I go, hey, I'm way over here. What's the problem with that? That's what I don't get.
I'm saying the problem with that is we have to create a coalition that can actually get elected and actually accomplish something that's.
Well, I admit I'm not the best person for that.
We have to have some sort of compromise that's agreeable, and I can't really compromise with Bernie Sanders. I can't compromise with pie in the sky bullshit.
Well, no, Gary. Okay, this is a good example because even though I admit, and I'll tell you, I'm for the open borders, I'm not like some sort of a priest of open borders. For example, I don't support a wall. But I don't see why you couldn't put 3,000 miles of webcams down there.
Well, that's what drones do. They're already talking about it.
And then people would watch the webcams, and you'd have free.
Put up 2 fences.
You'd have free, labor for doing the watching.
It's a big waste of fucking money because we could do it tomorrow with fucking sanctions. So again, instead of trying to fix one border, waste $1 trillion fixing one border. You could fix all the borders.
But Gary, wait a second.
Borders by just having social security numbers that mean something. There, we're done. No more bullshit.
Great.
No borders. No.
Okay, Gary, that might work. I would totally compromise with something like that. I'd have to, deal with the details. But the basic point is that it'd be easy to compromise with something like that. The point I'm making is, I am willing to do things, sanctions or this or that. We do have borders. There are reasons that they're there. And when you change things all of a sudden, that is not always good. There's various reasons. I am willing to compromise on that. I admit we have borders, and since we have them, like, it's, if you have them, you should respect them and you should take them seriously.
Well, I
You know,
know,
when
but
we
that's not the point. The point is we have
no,
borders.
the point is I will compromise on border strength.
The border is between people that have nothing, that are desperately poor, and a country that provides social services. That's what the border is between. People who are millions of people who are desperately poor, dying, living like.
Gary, you know my idea.
There are social services, and you're saying, okay, open the border. No, it makes no sense. We can't afford to give.
No, I'm not saying open the border all of the sudden, though I would say that.
Can't be handed out like you snap your fingers. Civilization.
Well, Gary, I'm not saying. Gary, I actually haven't said just open the borders all of the sudden. I would do it in stages and things like that. But wait, it doesn't matter. Wait, it doesn't matter.
Point. The fucking point. You just keep ignoring it. And I'm saying the first thing you have to acknowledge
I was going to get to your point.
That the fucking goddamn poverty is the problem. You can't just import poverty.
Well, I think you could if you did what I want to do.
Pay for our own poor people. We got poor people in this country. We're not even paying for them.
Well, but part of my belief, Gary.
$20 trillion in debt.
Gary, could you do me the favor of letting me explain the part of my belief of why I think that could work out? I don't believe in just giving money to people as social services. I think everything should be a work program, whether you pick up trash in the local park, or you're a single mother so you have to stuff envelopes at home, or you're disabled so you have to go around to schools and give talks on what it's like to be disabled, that it should be done as a work program. So if you do that, and then you have a welfare program of immigrants, you will rebuild the American infrastructure. And so that is my idea why I think we can afford people that need social services, because those people have to do the jobs that we need.
We did that, and guess what? It ends up costing more than just giving them.
When did we?
Stamps, okay? Well, we did. We had a CETA program.
I don't care. It costs more because actual stuff gets
part of one of those stupid programs once, where the fucking business got a big, huge, giant benefit, okay, for hiring me, and I was getting paid, minimum wage. So the company got the same price I was getting paid, so they got me for fucking free, essentially. Okay, and they were supposed to teach me something. They didn't teach me shit. They just treated me like a guy.
Prefer to do it. Yeah, my dad did a thing like that too. I would not prefer to do it that way.
Well, I'm just saying, any infrastructure you create, and you make it any more complicated, you won't gain anything. Okay, the people are. I
should also say that I would prefer to subsidize it and do it the way you did it than not at all. I actually think
subsidize taking them away from their parents when the parents are drug addicts and all this other stuff. Create a decent fucking infrastructure to raise children to be human beings, because that's what you have to do it. You have to.
Did you believe that when you were
a kid? You can't reclaimate these drug addicts.
Gary, I'm curious when
it will cost you more in the long run if you try to reclaimate them. It's better to
give
them their drugs and a fucking meatloaf sandwich and say fuck it.
Yeah, Gary, these days I'm inclined to agree with you that there's some limit, and that you can limit things like how many kids people have. When I was a kid, I thought that was like a total violation of rights, that you would tell people how to raise their kids and things like that. Now I'm curious, when did you start thinking, and don't tell me, oh, I was 7, unless it's true. When did you realize that, no, people really, there isn't an innate right to raise your kids whatever way, or have however many kids you want, or the rest of those issues?
Well, I guess I realized at the same time, I realized I wasn't up to the responsibility of having a kid. So as soon as I realized that, gee, it's one hell of a responsibility, I wouldn't want to have a kid. I wouldn't want to worry about having its arms and legs cut off and all this other shit. And quite obviously, those reckless assholes having kids on garbage heaps.
Why did that
So
make you think other people wouldn't figure that out?
so maybe
But
I,
wait, Gary, if you figured out, oh, I shouldn't have kids, then why didn't you think people that don't have kids figure that out? Like me, you figured other people wouldn't figure that out on their own.
I knew other people didn't figure it out on their own because I knew the fucking Harlem existed. I knew the slums existed. I knew they weren't made out of nothing. They were made out of people making decisions to have kids in environments they can have no hope.
But you don't need Harlem. I mean, you have the ruined classes of in Mendham that aren't sharing in the wealth as your example, right? You've said that before.
I have the ruined classes of Mendham.
Yeah, there you've mentioned in this, like, even in your own county, which is quote unquote rich. Not everybody is, and you've noticed that you've mentioned before that there's people there that abuse social services, that do this ghetto thing, this Harlem thing or whatever. So you've seen it firsthand because you haven't been to Harlem for years, for decades, right?
Well, I know, but I've seen it on TV. But regardless,
Don't say that, you motherfucker. You don't want me
well, I'm just saying. It's not, I have to go.
Fine, we know what Harlem's like. It's also vibrant and full of a lot of activism. I mean, I don't know. Did you see that on
Whatever.
TV?
Activism about what? Again, give me more shit.
About freedom?
Give me some more cars to turn over. Oh, okay, sure.
No, not that. But anyway, yeah.
More basketballs.
But I'm actually helping you because last time we talked, you mentioned that in Mendham, you had seen people that are basically living a ghetto life, whether that's a good word or not.
Culturally deprivated, and they
Yeah.
are so in an addictive way, in the sense that you cannot reclimate them. You can cut their hair, force them to take a bath, and 2 weeks later they'll be back at the pig trough. Okay, they just will not be civilized.
Well, look, you're gonna have to face that. I think that people like that
understand the concept of being productive. They don't think about it at all. All they think about is how many stores can I steal shit at before the cops finally throw me.
Okay, so you're going to have to accept that I think people like that can be reclamated, but I also agree with you. I'll acknowledge that there are people like that that haven't been reclamated yet, which makes it a theory about whether they could or could not be, reformed.
I'm
Decent
just saying
people.
that this happens and their children.
It is true.
Their children come out the same way.
Now, here's the thing. I want to say two
Pattern
things.
is continued.
Gary.
There's no developmental
Gary,
ability.
there is the same uselessness trained into rich kids. So it's not just poor ghetto kids. Yeah.
Useless. Exactly.
Right.
Where did I ever say? I always keep saying.
Right. Well, I'm pointing it out.
The welfare rich and the welfare poor are the two enemies of civilization.
So, right. So that's what I'm pointing out is that your idea, which is the part I would agree with, is that there's really people that feel entitled. People should not feel entitled. Now, people are entitled.
They don't care. They can feel entitled. I'm just saying that.
No, but people are entitled to certain things. Well, that's what I was going to say, Gary. I was going to say people are entitled to certain things, and if some people want to feel entitled to the things that they legitimately are entitled to, I guess if it makes you feel better. But you know what I'm talking about. Like, for example, on the anti-SJW side, that girl screaming at Yale about this isn't a place to be challenging, it's my home and stuff. It's like, you're at fucking Yale. You're at Yale. Shut up. Of course people are going to think that. That's a kind of entitlement that's like you're already entitled and obviously you feel that way. So there is an issue with entitlement, and the welfare rich and welfare poor that you're talking about, a lot of people I think deserve those bonuses for legitimate reasons, right? Like it's really the real reason. They really will get off welfare and make good use of it. Or they're a business that really deserves a bonus.
There's no point
But
in
most of it is just a waste.
anecdotal bullshit about, you know, 1 in a million poor people becomes president of the United States. I mean, it's anecdotal bullshit, okay?
But I don't like that you focus on the poor people, the rich people that
focus
feel.
on the poor people. I make more
Yes,
videos about
you are right now.
inheritance rich than I make
Well,
about
we have Trump.
bags.
Well, okay, I'm just saying it's President Trump tonight, so let's focus on the rich people that feel like they
have an alternative.
they were born at third base, right?
There's nothing to talk about President Trump because he's fucking president. So the game is already over. I thought what we were doing was analyzing what the failure was that made this possible. And my point is the failure that makes this possible is the fact that the Democratic Party is either way too right or way too left. It can't fucking find a rational compromise.
Yeah.
If somebody would have ran on the Democratic ticket,
by behavior, it's obviously far too right.
Two things: we have to raise fucking taxes, and we have to lower fucking spending. We actually have to pay back some of this fucking money that we owe to these rich cunts.
Okay, so two things. One, as far as how we react, is things like Bernie or this Ellsworth guy or whatever to take over the DNC and stuff like that.
As soon as you say
but
that,
the second thing is I don't think it's just to say what we can do.
Not the fucking future.
No, but well, maybe not. Let's put it. Okay, wait. Let me put it more generally. There's an issue about who could run the DNC that would be any better, and is it possible to have such a person in the DNC because it's the Democratic Party? Maybe we need a new party. There's also, though, I disagree with you. We are not all lost. I mean, Trump being president, there are various forces allied for and against him, and that's a part of the game too, right? So it's not just over. The people that voted for him don't even know he's going to do what they voted for. There's not going to be a fucking wall.
To you is this conversation is moot. Okay, what the real problem is everybody's a knee-jerker. There's knee-jerk Republicans, knee-jerk liberals, knee-jerk Democrats. Nobody wants to pay attention to the fucking truth. Nobody wants to talk about the $20 trillion in debt. Nobody wants to talk about the $4 trillion in reserve accounts. Nobody wants to talk about FDIC insurance because it's all too fucking complicated.
Well, let's say we're in a safe space.
About the real fucking problem of irresponsible poor people overbreeding. Nobody wants to talk about the real issues, which are we're spending most of our healthcare dollars on fucking dead people. We're spending most of the money on people who are already fucking dead. They don't even know who the fuck they are, and that's where most of the healthcare dollar is going, right into the fucking goddamn Alzheimer's toilet bowl. Okay, people who don't even know their own fucking name. $10,000 a month is what we're doling out to keep dead people alive.
So I think though that Trump is somebody that's supposedly going to deal with that.
Deal with what? He's not going to deal with it. He's going to just cut the fucking. He's going to just basically say, "Hey, you got."
What do you think he'll do?
Fuck you.
What do you think he'll do? He'll cut the benefits?
Yeah, he'll cut the benefits so that we'll go back to Medicaid and we'll go back. So the poor will be real poor again. They'll have to be taken care of. And he'll kill the whole idea of this idea that you don't get to insure people based on their condition. So all the people with niche diseases who can't afford their medication, fuck them. All the people who have pre-existing conditions, yeah, fuck you. You're going to have to pay huge to get health care.
Yeah, they were saying something today that he said that they're going to try to preserve the pre-existing condition thing. I hope so, because I had that brain surgery in my 20s where I can't really get health insurance without the pre-existing condition thing, even though it was very isolated. They just cauterized, an artery, and it's like, well, that can never leak again. My doctor actually said, you're 100% cured, which might be an overstatement, but basically,
Yeah, I know.
It's
I know.
like,
It's still a demographic thing, so most insurance companies will take advantage where they can. Quite obviously, they'll
well, and they just don't want to take the
advantage of
risk
cigarette
of someone.
smokers, right? They for years have taken advantage of cigarette smokers, where they
Right.
knew demographically there was no more higher risk from a cigarette smoker than they weed. So they let the
Right,
obese
but the thing
people off
is,
the hook,
but
and
the
they
thing
nailed
is,
the cigarette smokers.
Gary, but the thing is with me, it's funny, is you'd think they'd take advantage and charge me more. No, they don't even want me as a customer because there's this other capitalist thing, which is sort of paranoia about the bad risk side of, and they just cut certain people out.
Well, I'm just saying it's obviously it's an uncertainty, and you love to get.
Even though they'd make money, I
You
like,
want certainty, okay? If you're an insurance company, your best bet is if I have enough certain risks to apply myself to, I can guarantee my success. If I allow the
yeah,
uncertain risk into the pool, that's when I'm all of a sudden setting myself up to go bankrupt as an
yeah, I
insurance
don't know
company.
exactly.
Okay,
Well,
so
but what I don't understand,
I'm not going to insure people against tidal waves, because even though there might not be a tidal wave for 50 years, that's not a good risk.
right, but what I didn't get is why wouldn't I have an option like, okay, give me health insurance, but you won't cover any more brain surgery?
No, I just
I
put
would
you
have
in a
done that.
pool.
I
Right.
would have totally done that. And then it's like, well, I'm totally covered
They
except
could
for brain
offer you a
surgery.
pool and then make you accountable.
But you know what I mean? If I'm out biking and break my leg or something, why is that a part of my brain surgery? It's stupid. But whatever. So I like Obamacare for that factor. If they take that away, that's the main one for me. But on the other hand, my cousin is just like, look, they did NAFTA. People don't have jobs. If people had jobs and you said that,
No, I know, but this is what I'm talking about, the knee
you
jerk.
said $2,000 or $3,000 a year for health insurance.
This is the knee jerk thing that won't win. You can't rationally argue that you're going to change the world by writing it in some legislation in the Congress, and there we change the way the world works. You can't do it that way. You have to deal with the world that exists. And the world that exists, the only way you're going to bring jobs back to America is they have to be $5 an hour jobs.
Were you affected
So
by,
cut the minimum wage and allow people to hire people for $3.50 an hour.
were you affected by Obamacare?
What?
Were you affected by Obamacare, or did you have some other thing?
Well, of course I'm affected by it, in the sense that I've always been affected by the fact that I'm on Social Security. So yeah, they ripped me off for $115 every month for fucking healthcare I can't even use.
Well, here's the thing, like my cousin, he never's had, my family mostly never has health care. And with Obamacare, he's getting paid ridiculous low wage for his skill set and what he does. And then he has to pay for Obamacare. No, if he had a decent job his same job, which he likes, the job itself is fine, at a decent wage, he might go, oh, $3,000, for a family of three. Okay. But he doesn't have the money and he's being forced to pay it without the jobs by the same people. That's why Trump won. But is he going to do anything about that? Fucking no. There's no way. But if he did, I'd be like, okay, my bad.
Yeah, well, you can't go back to single payer because he so explicitly argued it in the primary. With the Republicans, he basically said, "No, I'm not for single payer. No, no, no."
Right. But the thing is, he also always said repeal and replace. So they're already in the replace mode, which already proves Obamacare was good if they're thinking they've got to replace it. But if they might just replace it with, we replaced it with, now you're on your own, everybody.
Right, exactly. The whole concept is unfinanceable. So the point is you can't finance it. The only people that have money are the.
Why do you think other countries can handle the financing?
They can't be paid for. You can't take the money from poor people and give it to less poor people.
Gary,
you can't take
how do you think
less poor people and give it to poor people? That economics doesn't work.
Gary, how do you think other countries pay for it?
Again, it's a single payer.
Oh, right. Yeah. The way we set it up is ridiculous. I think with a public option, you could possibly make it work and have both the market and public and, the.
Yeah, and the price they pay for it is they got waiting lists, and, sometimes you're just not going to get the health care you really need because, they can't allow the system to work at 100% efficiency like our system, because then people will exploit the fuck out of it. So they have to put enough They have to put enough red tape and bullshit into it to slow people down so they can't use up $1 million.
We know, we just get back to the same thing.
I would still put limits on people. I don't think it's my responsibility to pay somebody, pay $1 million to keep some fucker alive. There's got to be some limits to this bullshit. I mean, the whole idea that people don't realize that if they spend $300,000 on their health care, that's the price of 2 fucking houses in Florida, for fuck's sake. I could have 2 fucking houses in Florida for what it costs them to go to the fucking to cure their fucking disease. Who the fuck's worth that? Nobody's worth that kind of money. We're making $6 million dead people, for fuck's sake.
Well, but we're getting back to the fact that these corporations and some of the families, but mostly these big corporations, are holding trillions of dollars of wealth just in accounts. They're not spending.
The corporations are not the problem. It's the owners of the corporations. For fuck's sake, you keep missing the target.
No, but I'm just saying there's a lot of money to make better hospitals and better roads.
It's not the corporations that have the money. The rich.
It is.
Well, again, you can keep saying that, and it isn't. If corporate taxes are.
What do you mean? The people that own.
Corporate
are you saying
are sales taxes? What I'm saying is if you tax the corporations, they'll fucking raise the prices to pay the taxes. They know their stock is only going to sell to
right.
people.
But isn't that the problem, Gary?
Rich people, so they know they have to make the rich happy to buy their stock. So they don't give a fuck about paying no taxes. The fucking consumer's going to pay the tax.
But Gary, don't we have to break that system in order to succeed then? Because if the point is they've got billions in the bank, Gary, they have billions in the bank.
Get rid of the owners and make
the point is they have billions in the bank, and they will want only to spend it if they're going to make more, which means they'll have more billions in the bank.
Fucking second.
And we need those billions to pay for health care and stuff.
Again, you can't do it through the corporations. If tomorrow I nationalize,
how do you do it?
If I nationalized Google tomorrow, right? I put a CEO in charge and kept every single employee exactly what they're doing. So all I did was eliminate the stockholder. So if I did that tomorrow to Google, okay, it would run just fine. It would generate income. I could put the income back into the business, or I could lower all the prices. So I could either pay my employees more money, I could lower the prices with the income, but I wouldn't have to pay an owner, for fuck's sake. The corporation is not the enemy. The fucking owners of the corporation are the fucking enemy.
Fine. For my purposes, that's the same thing. So, yeah.
Again, but you said it's just the same thing. It's not the same. I'm just pointing out how they're not the same thing. The corporation is an innocent instrument.
No, to me, it's the same thing, Gary.
Doing productivity.
Gary, can I just explain?
The fucking corporation is completely innocent. It is the rich owners who are the evil.
Well, to me, it's the same thing because the one.
Okay, so it's just
can I just say what I'm saying is that because I'm just saying it's the same. It's not exactly the same. Of course, there is a subtle difference, but
it's a huge difference.
No, but wait, it's the same because those rich people run the corporations. They have the trillions that are in the bank. Wait, the trillions that are in the bank of cash that they have is in the name of their corporations. On the other hand, they actually run the corporations and make the difference of why that money isn't being spent.
Analogy one more time, and I'll be more specific.
So to me, I'm fine with your I'm fine with your assessment that it's the owners. That's fine with me.
You just got to make the separation. If I nationalize Google, take away the stock, and I put Bernie Sanders as the CEO of Google. There. Do you understand now how Google could run for the next 20 years, and it could run much more efficiently? It could pay employees more. It could give more to the customers. Everybody would be much, much happier. The machine of the company would run really great.
Yeah. You're obsessed with disagreeing.
Everybody gets richer except the rich.
Right, you're obsessed with disagreeing because basically we
I'm
both
not obsessed
agree.
with disagreeing. I'm
Well,
obsessed
you are
with
because you're saying the same thing I'm
the
saying.
fundamental part of Bernie Sanders' retarded policy is the fact that he didn't make a distinction between the fucking owners and the fucking businesses.
But the thing is, this would be really difficult, but I agree with you. One way or another, we have to get at that money. And the thing
And you
you're
can't
saying is that we have to get
you
rid of the
can't do
owners.
that
I'm
by
saying that
taxing
it's
the
more open than
productivity
that.
of the business. Taxing the productivity of the business is not how you get to the rich. You don't get to the rich that way. You get to the
How do
poor
you
that
get to
way.
the
You
rich?
fucking slaughter the consumer that way.
The way you get to the rich is with a land tax.
Oh no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, they have all the
We're
good
not doing that.
land.
Okay, if you're
They
doing
have
that,
all the good land. You
if
know
you're
they
doing that,
do.
I'm going home.
The rich the rich have all the good land
I'm
except for your
not
place.
going to do this. So say it one more time, and I'm gone.
Okay, I won't. No, so but on okay, Trump is president. And do you think that affects you at all? Because I woke up the first morning and finding out he really did win.
Nothing affects me. Okay, I have been ready to bail out at any minute,
Yeah.
for 40 years. So what the fuck do I care personally about any of this shit? The whole point is
Well,
that the only thing I have any treasure, any value is the value for the future, and the future is
here's
going
why.
to pay a huge price for this fucking lunatic being in charge.
Here's why. Because if civil war erupts in the street, you're far from immune. You're right in the heat of it down there in New Jersey. You know what I mean? You're only out there in the woods if things are calm.
There ain't going to be no heat here. I'm sure they have all kinds of fucking, anti, just disrupt the mob bombs here. I'm sure they have plenty of, bullets don't only hit black people.
Well, I think you're probably right that any unrest probably won't hit the rural New England, but then I don't know because I think that's what we're looking at on the worst side of the possibilities is civil unrest, and not just the Trump Aryan Nation, but also the Black Lives Matter now with Trump as president. It's like yeah, they might start just killing cops or something.
Well, it's going to happen. I mean, that was inevitable anyway. I mean, we're
Yeah, well, that kind of opposition
everybody's
sets up that kind of thing,
the
so
rest
it
of the
could go
world.
both ways.
The rest
And
of
then
the
once
world.
they both start going, you can have all out. That's how civil war starts. People think it couldn't happen in the
Well, there's not
U.S.
going to be civil war. It's going to require somebody to blow the president up or something. They're going to have to do something really quite radical to disrupt the government in some way.
Well, right. I mean, rebel action where most civil
It's not going to
wars,
be rebel action. It's just going to be Newark.
most civil war,
I lived
Gary.
through it. I lived through it. Okay, so you don't have to explain this to me. I watched.
Okay, I'm just saying most civil wars, the
I
rebels
watched
don't have a
Newark
chance.
burn to the ground. Okay, I watched when the helicopters, strafed the buildings in Philadelphia. Okay, this shit doesn't make any difference. Okay, all the riots in the world aren't going to change any of this politics.
Well, let me ask
What
you
has
this.
to change is the fucking intellectual character of the human race. The smart
do you
people,
think-
the fucking intellectuals have to quit being daydreaming, mishy-mushy, silly people, and they have to start taking this a little bit seriously, their responsibility to educate the ignorant fucks.
But I mean, do you think, for example,
Burn the colleges down.
do you think that like couldn't you have a militia that goes up there to Oregon, for example, and occupies
another word you use that's just so fucking
What?
disgusting. This word militia.
Do you think you could, how people went up and occupied that refuge in Oregon? Do you think that people could go up and occupy, a quarter of Oregon or Wyoming or Montana or something?
Well, they wouldn't be able to do it if I was president because, yeah, I know how to call out the helicopters.
No, I mean specifically with Trump as president because he might not call out helicopters.
Why not? Why wouldn't he?
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
He's basically already said, I'm for law and order, and yeah, you're going to be dead if you fuck with me.
That will be an interesting thing to see. Like, how does he handle a
no
Mel here?
He has no
future
fucking empathy. It's not even a possible emotion. So somebody pisses him off, he'll fucking kill them.
But would it piss him off? That's what I think we're talking
Yeah,
about.
of course it'll piss him off. If they're getting in the way of something that's important to him, he'll say, hey, this has got to get
Well, but why would some refuge in Oregon?
He doesn't have patience for anybody. He mocked a disabled guy because he took too long to ask a question, for fuck's sake.
But why would he care about Oregon refuge being taken over when you put it that way? He wouldn't.
What business friend of his is
Well, there's none.
So,
there's none up there.
Well, I don't know what you're even talking about.
It's just cowboys versus Indian. It's ranchers versus Indian.
Well, yeah, so the ranchers are going to win because it's a red state. They voted Republican. They win.
Right. So if you had a militia that was let to take over a quarter of the state and the federal government just looked aside, that is the kind of thing that could lead to actual civil war. But they might not win.
I don't think you're gonna motivate a huge number of people because some fucking refuge somewhere they want to turn it. The Indians want to make a casino. I don't think.
So the question I'm having for you in this is, what do you think is the danger with Trump? He's a weird president to have. We've had a lot of assholes, but this out of whack is we never had.
It doesn't matter. It's 4 years. He's not going to run for a second term. I know that. So I'll make that prediction right here. He has no interest in running for a second term. He's going to do a 4-year smack down, and that's all he wants this for. Okay, he wants to just reclamate his name now. That's the only thing he's going to be thinking about is how do I reclamate the Trump name. That's all he's thinking about right now. Because he knows that's his legacy to his kids. That's all his kids can do is sell his fucking name. They don't have any.
That could be good then.
They have absolutely no talent. They can't do shit.
That could be good.
He had to pay them to get through school.
But wait, that could be good.
He won't be good because he's going to sell the same professional wrestling crap. He's going to sell a TV show to the American people, and we're going to have a TV show for a government. We're not going to have a fucking government that does anything productive. We're going to have a bunch of fucking religious kooks on the Supreme Court, and they're going to be stuck on there for 40 fucking years.
Well, that's the big problem. The Supreme Court is just like, I don't even want to think about it.
Imagine what he's going to do to the federal court. Just imagine all these fucking Republican moron judges on all the federal courts.
Judge Janine, Judge Judy.
Well, I'm just saying, they tell you what your Constitution means. They tell you that corporations are people. They tell you lots of crazy shit that's written into the Constitution because of those fucktards on the courts. And we have no Congress, right? There's no hope that the Congress is going to override any of the idiotic decisions the courts make. They have the power to fix everything, but they'll never fix anything now because the Democrats are, 38% now. A real Democrat, right? There's only 38% real Democrats in the fucking House and Senate now. The rest of them are the blue dog sellouts anyway.
But basically, you're saying you think that we have the American system, checks and balances, 4 years. I mean, we will be in.
I just pointed out how there is no check and balance. I just pointed out how the.
Well, no, but you're saying it doesn't really matter.
And the courts are dead. There's no checks and balances. Every fucking balance is now dead.
But you don't think that Trump is a disaster because
I think Trump is a colossal fucking disaster. Yes.
Okay. So, I'm trying to zero in on this then. So, I mean, how much of a disaster are we talking about?
Fucking sailed down we're going over.
Are we talking about nuclear Holocaust disaster?
Okay. Whatever state it's in, we just went over Idiocracy Falls, and we're not going to be able to fucking like a cartoon character. We're not going to be able to spin back up.
That's the thing, Idiocracy. And we were watching Jerry Springer, and my wife was like, well, our son needs to learn about it. And it's like, this is why Trump's elected, because there's people fighting. Jerry Springer is still on the air, and people are fighting even more than when he started. What? And so we're kind of like, we are in Idiocracy. It's a lot like Ow My Balls is about to come on air. And so how that sounds pretty bad, Gary. Like it's worse than George W. Bush or Hillary Clinton.
The point is that the number of people in the country now, right? You guys say you've got 300, 400 million, 300 million, 300 million.
Yeah, 400. You could round up if you want.
400. Okay, so there's 400 million.
But it's 350, 70, something like that.
I thought there was more guns than people, but regardless,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, guns? Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So that's right there is a statement about the intelligence. But anyway, the point is you got all these people, and the fact is that yes, when you survey them, they don't even know that Africa's a continent or something. I mean, they're clueless. They have no idea what makes anything run. They think the FDIC or something. If I say the Fed, they think it's reptilians from another planet that have control money. They think we've printed zillions of dollars. We have all this printed money in the economy somewhere. They think all these wacky, stupid, retarded things. And so, yeah, there's 50 million people that might have some knowledge, and even those people have incomplete knowledge. And so it's almost like the physics thing. They have these religious notions, these static, closed-minded ideas about how things work. Like, oh yeah, people deposit money and then the bank lends the money. Well, no, it has nothing to do with that, you retards. The bank lends the money, okay, and that creates deposits. It's exactly the other way around, So there's where's the? I'm just saying until the little kernel of intellectuals. I said it before, but I'll say it again. They have to get off of their fucking comfy couches, and they have to start realizing their country is going to blow up, and they can't just keep daydreaming about. Well, Carl Sagan said billions and billions.
Gary, people like you. Gary, people like you need to get involved in the local politics and run for state senate.
Politics is bullshit. There's
no people like you need to run for state senate.
Local politics here.
You need to run for state senate.
The town is 99% fucking goddamn Republican.
All the more reason that nobody wants to run as a Democrat.
Well, I'm just saying there's no
or
point
green.
in doing it. They're not going to listen to you. There's no
what
fucking.
What party? What if you did, Gary?
And talk to people. I'm going to stand on the street corner. And
Gary, if you ran, what party would you
use? By that they're scumbags. Hey, did you know the filthy rich are scumbags? Fuck the inherited cunts.
You might be surprised. Eventually, Gary. Eventually, that's going to win. But if you did run, what party would use? Democrat, Green?
It doesn't matter. I don't give a shit. Yeah, I'd use whatever party I had to use because it doesn't matter.
What about Republican?
Well, obviously they wouldn't have me.
Okay, wait. Let me tell you. I'm thinking of running. And I'm in a Republican district, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll run as a Republican. Is that bad?
It's not bad if you can get away with it. I'm just saying that you might not be able to get away with it. The Republican Party will say, no, thank you.
Spoken like a true New Jerseyan. It's not bad if you can get away with it.
Well, it's not immoral. I mean, it's not like it's against the law or something.
No, right, because I'd be honest about my positions.
Well, I'm just saying,
thought that's not very Republican.
If the Republicans will allow you to be a rational Republican, well, then that would be swell. Yeah, it's great. But I don't think.
Well, they probably would here because it's one of these states with a weird Republican Party. But we do have a Republican county. Or a state senate district.
Yeah, I just don't see any point in the local politics thing. So from my perspective, it's the whole game.
But you used to, that's one of the things I liked about you back in the day.
Used to. I only had interest in the local politics because of the fraud. Okay, so that's all it was for. All right.
And there's a lot of money in it.
It wasn't for giving a shit about any of these goddamn policies one way or the other. The problem was that there was all graft. Every fucking thing they did had a fucking angle to it.
But you found you couldn't do anything about it, you mean? So fuck it?
I couldn't even get the law obeyed, okay? I mean, I went to over public access television, and the judge told me, get your own TV network. She didn't even know what public access television was. I mean, I'm sitting there saying, hey, it's public access television. I'm supposed to be allowed on it. It's a federal thing. And she says, get my own TV network.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, but it's also a low-hanging fruit because people don't seem to realize local politics, there's hundreds of millions of dollars and a tremendous amount of corruption. That's where the corruption is really like all the pork, that's where it ends up. And it's really thick with
party though,
corruption.
party politics. So I'm just saying, if you're not part of the party politics, you're going to be squeezed out. You're going to be left out
Yeah.
outside.
Well, that's why I asked you what party.
It's like you saying, I'm going to go be a cop and I'm going to be an honest cop. You know how long you're going to be a cop if you try to be an honest cop? I mean, you're going to be shoved out the fucking door. They're going to throw cocaine in
or thrown in jail or something. Yeah.
Cocaine in the back of your car and say you're on the take.
Yeah. Well, but so you feel pretty safe there in New Jersey and isolated.
This isn't about me.
Well, I'm just saying the idea. What I wanted to talk to you about is Trump.
It's about the future, and will we go?
Trump is a New Jersey guy.
Paddle down the waterfall, or will we at least try to retain some dignity and fight against the inevitable? Will we try not to be deterred?
You think immigration is a problem, and so Trump might help with that a little.
He can't help with it a little.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, you can't. He's not going to fix it. He's already stated how he loves the idea of the import visas, which are the #1 source of illegal aliens. So he's already suggested that, yeah, it's just the Mexicans I don't like. I love the guys from India coming over here taking the good jobs and reducing wages of the middle class. We've ruined the poor man's labor pool. And wait.
Now
we just have to kill the middle class. So
here's the thing.
Let's get Gary. Here. Let's get a ton of skilled foreigners in here so we can drive the wages of doctors and lawyers and everybody else into the fucking toilet.
Take my point of view for a minute, where I believe if you bring them over here and give them a decent wage, it works out. What doesn't work out is if you take our auto factory and move it down to Mexico and pay them shit.
It doesn't make any difference. You can't do it competitively in the world. Again, you can't change the world by just saying, I'm going to pay people more money.
But so wait, so part of this is you don't think...
I'm going to make a more competitive business by paying the employees more. That doesn't work.
So you don't think that Trump will impose a tariff?
I'm saying it doesn't matter. If he imposes a tariff, it's going to be even worse because that'll create inflation. He can't sell the bonds we have now. He's going to create a deficit, creating more bonds that we can't sell. So interest rates will have to go up. If interest rates have to go up, then the debt financing skyrockets up. Okay, all it has to do is go up 2%. And you're talking about another $500 million. $500 billion, you're going to need revenues just to pay the financing on the debt. So as soon as inflation shows up, we're dead. And there's nothing more automatically inflationary than a tariff.
So one reason you're not too worried about Trump then is basically that his hands are tied like W's, that you can only really ruin the economy so much before he's got
a way out of this, in the sense that if he destroys the idea of a minimum wage and gets people to work for $5 an hour, then it can work.
That's a funny thing, because that's where I wonder if he's not kind of a liberal Democrat, a New York Republican, that I think he's open to raising the minimum wage.
Again, there's no point. You can't do that. If you do that, you lose even more of your competitive ability. So you're just saying, drive us further into doom. It just can't work in isolation. So until you stop...
You don't believe in any minimum wage at all?
I believe in it, but I'm just saying you can't do it and create jobs, is my point. You can't create jobs that way.
No, you can't. No. You're hoping... No, when you raise minimum wage...
Especially export jobs. And just think for 1 minute. Will you please think for 1 minute? This guy is a billionaire, quote-unquote millionaire, quote-unquote rich person.
Definitely a millionaire.
What do the rich people want? Do you think they want to pay their employees more money, or do they want to pay their employees less money? So this is just too
Less.
obvious a fucking question, isn't it? They have
I guess less.
absolutely no self-interest in making it more expensive for them to have their driveway shoveled and to have their fucking lawns manicured and all that shit. They don't want any of that crap to cost one dime more. So there's no way they're going to do anything to elevate real wages. So real wages will not go up. It just doesn't matter. You can do minimum wages forever, and it's not going to fix a fucking thing. It's just going to create unemployment.
But what are you saying? Because if there was minimum wage, they would either have to go without the employees or pay them more.
Right. And what do you think they're going to do? They're going to try to get away
I think
with
they're going to pay them more.
They'll buy the fucking robot vacuum cleaner instead of the maid. They'll
Well,
buy
that's another thing, Gary.
to solve their problems.
Wait, did you bring up the robots? Have you thought about
the
this?
robot from fucking China?
Gary, have you thought about this? I've been thinking about the fact that the auto driving truck.
I heard this already.
Yeah, what do you think? I mean, that's for sure going to happen.
There's a whole bunch of people that are inevitably going to be out of a job, okay?
Yeah, like 5 or 6 million people.
Fucking iPods can be perfectly good secretaries now. They can do a lot of things. There's lots of technology.
But I'm saying these truckers. But wait, I want to ask your opinion on
this. Valuable every day. You don't need people.
But I want to. But what about the truckers being first? Like that is imminent.
It's not going to be first, and it's not going to happen tomorrow. You know they're not going to come up with a system that's reliable enough. So this isn't a tomorrow problem. This is like a week or a month.
Gary. They rely on a system of truckers high on meth. You think they won't move to robots? Fuck yeah, that's as reliable. They drive those truckers 14 hours a day and say, go ahead and do meth because it's pretty hard to do. And I think they will go for robots.
Right, so they're not even good jobs anyway. They're shitty jobs anyway, and yes, they're doomed.
Right.
Okay, so what? Blacksmiths don't.
But it's 5 or 6 million people.
Jobs are archaic and useless. I've made this point.
What are those 5 or 6 million people?
5 million times, and you just keep ignoring the fact that I've already made this point. A human being is becoming more and more obsolete every fucking day. They are useless sacks of shit. They consume food and take shit.
But I'm asking you on the particular.
A tiny percentage of the human race has any value. The rest of the human beings are just bags of shit.
But Gary, I'm asking you on the particular. You probably, like myself, know people that drive truck. If they all lose their jobs, that's going to be a year or 5 years, however long it takes. That's going to be very interesting. That's what I'm asking you about. I mean, don't you think
it's not going to happen tomorrow? So it's not interesting to me. Okay, that's not a problem.
I think it's going to happen like right 2 years from now.
There's already been millions of people.
Well, when do you think it's going to happen?
Have already been kicked out of their jobs.
I think it's going to be.
What it means is it makes it even clearer how useless we are. So yes, one more group of people will become useless. Good, fine.
But it's going to be a lot of people at once, and I think it's going to be a couple years from now.
A lot of people at once. You can keep saying shit like that.
Well, do you think it's going to be a couple years from now, or how long?
A couple of fucking years from now. Again, I don't even want to have this conversation. It's so fucking out of.
Well, can we finish it by you answering like? You think it's 10 years or 20 then? What do you think?
It's got lots of problems. I think they have to figure out lots of the problems because guess what? There is some risk of it going terribly wrong. And we've already still have train accidents, for fuck's sake. We already know how catastrophic it could be if a big line of 50 trucks going down the highway plows through some fucking suburban.
Well, you're underestimating how much they want to cut out the worker. They've done it in the factory. If they have a chance to do it with trucking,
want to make big money, they'll fucking put the money in rail anyway. Okay, trucks are incredibly inefficient.
Oh my god. Okay. I need to take a break for a second.
Well, I really probably should go. So.
No, don't go.
Why? You're just getting drunk.
Because we only got through like half of the things I was going to ask you about. Because you're like from New Jersey.
Okay, we'll get to it.
You're from New Jersey. You know all about Trump. Just hold on for 2 minutes so I can take a leak, you motherfucker.
Yeah, go do whatever you got to do. Oh, jeez. It's just You just say it over and over and over. It's like there's no way you can hit his brain. So whatever surgery they did on his brain, you can't hit it with a sentence. A sentence can't possibly hit brain matter. You can only get like one or two words out of a sentence to actually hit his fucking brain. So he never hears a damn fucking thing you say. Ugh, just insufferable. There's no. The problem is people are idiots. Well, we'll just motivate the people to be with things, and we'll promise them, we'll lie to them so we can lead the idiots in the right direction with our lies. Yeah. Because your lies have to be insane. you can't even lie to these people in any kind of rational way, because what they think the truth is so stupid. You have to lie to them by saying, let's have a Manhattan Project to figure out who's a reptilian and kill them. We need to fight the reptilians.
I'm back. Fight the reptilians. So, for example, okay, you don't care. I know you're going to say, I don't care, it's not important, which is fine. But we were talking about this earlier. Trump lost $1 billion in those Atlantic City casinos, or at least he said it was $1 billion. That means, like, I lost the Mar-a-Lago, and it's worth billions of dollars.
Well, look,
right?
let me just explain a real simple part of the tax code. Okay, this is what you find out. You find out that they're not even totally his losses. See, the tax code is so fucked up that I can actually have losses in my business. So I could be sitting here in my house and I could say my desk burned, yes. Right? And because I don't have enough income to actually take a full deduction for my desk because I didn't make enough money, I can actually send my desk to you. Okay, and because you had a good year, you can declare my desk as your loss because I sold it to you for $1. So this is what Trump's $1 billion in the first place, what it was made out of was the bankruptcies of all the companies he had already divested from. So he divested from these companies. He'd sold the stock. He didn't have any losses from those businesses. But what he did is after they went bankrupt, he bought them for $1, which means you're buying the losses, okay? And he's using those as his tax write-off. And the accountants even say that, if Trump had any brains, what he would have done is sold some of those losses to somebody else so they could have been liquidated a little bit quicker so it wouldn't look so bad.
Right. So, however, if he hasn't paid taxes for 20 years, that would mean that he hasn't made $1 billion back.
It just means he hasn't made $1 billion back, and he was worth $2 billion supposedly, right? We don't know exactly how much he actually owned. I'm just saying he had $2 billion of assets, let's say, that were positive.
But that's the thing. He lost $1 billion because his assets lost $1 billion. He didn't lose the money that went into building those assets. That was other people's money.
Right. Well, I'm just saying he was able to put the losses on his business account, and I'm just saying. So,
which is fair enough. In some cases, that would even make sense.
That was the year he paid himself $7,000 in personal income. So he paid himself $7,000 for managing his company. So he would.
Now, I didn't know anything about him buying the wasted assets, but I understand what you're saying there. But I do get the fact that he says he lost $1 billion because he had to give up casinos. Like, it's like if the casino was worth $2 billion and he had $1 billion of investment to build it, and the $2 billion was because it got built, he loses $1 billion, but in reality, it was really just the people that built it that lost $1 billion.
Money anyway, it was loaned money, so that's where this gets all complicated. Okay, because these weren't hard assets.
Right. So, but if he hasn't made $1 billion back, and he was worth a couple billion, he doesn't have $1 billion again.
Right, he can't possibly have $9 billion as he claimed.
Yeah, definitely not 9 or 10. I thought it was 11, but whatever. Yeah, he can't have
$1 billion back yet.
It's questionable whether he has $1 billion.
Well, I'm saying that it's questionable.
Especially since he spends so much of it on planes and shit. Flying a gold plane around costs you like 10, 20 million a year.
But that's part of his asset, so that's counted as part of what he owns.
Right. So, but that's the thing. He does a lot of this to look richer than he is, which is funny when you are as actually rich as he is.
Well, look, there's
Don't
other
you
ways.
think?
I mean, the state returns are interesting too because there's all kinds of line items. But there was one for like 1,368,478 or something. And when you extrapolate that to the actual tax burden, it means that he couldn't possibly be worth more than $1 billion. So
Yeah.
different. I mean, the accountants can. I'm just saying the tax code is so convoluted. I'm just saying.
Well, there's this HBO show about Silicon Valley called Silicon Valley, and it's funny. There's this one character in it, and he falls below $1 billion, and it's like, oh no. And it's like, that's kind of what Trump is like. It's like, I'm not in the billionaire club. Fuck that. I am. It depends on when I wake up in the morning if I think my name is worth $10 billion.
The real problem is we're not going to get any clarity on this. But yeah, his father was worth 200.
Oh no, you're wrong, Kerry. We are going to get clarity on this.
What?
We are going to get clarity on this. That's what the next 4 years is going to be about, among other things, is that we're going to go over. People are going to learn who Roy Cohen is. They're going to learn every single fucking thing you can learn in 4 years.
Donald Trump's tax return is all I'm saying. We're never.
You don't think? Because I think they will force him. He said, "Well,
who's going to force him? Who? Who's going to force them? The 28% of.
Well, himself. He says when.
Who cares what he said? Do you think he has to fulfill that promise?
No, I think you're right. I think he'll never do the tax returns.
No, there's no way. Oh, wait, I'm going to prove I'm a liar? No, he's not going to prove us.
On the other hand, it will be fun because he has very clearly said he would when the IRS audit was over, and I think that that's within the power of journalists to pursue over 4 years. Is he going to get audited for?
To fulfill the law, he's just going to put all of his assets in his daughter's name. He's just going to make her trustee, and that's it. So we're never going to know.
Gary, do you know there actually is no law for the president? He could run the Trump company still. That all the Congress laws about assets and conflict of interest, the president, I'm pretty sure he could actually run it if he wants to. Now he says he's going to let his kids run it, but the point is, if he intervenes, that's not actually illegal.
There's no way that Congress would let him do that. I'm just saying that's a principle.
Well, I would hope so.
Whether they ever wrote it into the Constitution, they
right. No, I agree with you. Yeah, right. No, it's a principle that you'd think they would enforce.
Well, he has to put in a blind trust.
But it's not like the Supreme Court would find him
in. Put in a blind trust, then all the Congress are going to make the same excuse. So they know that once they open that door, that's going to get really messy. So they can't allow anybody to evade the blind trust rules.
I actually agree with you that he will probably follow that. He said he kind of would, but the thing is, it won't really matter because with his kids running the Trump brand, all it is a brand, right? It's not really a real estate empire. It's more of a brand, and they're probably going to try to start selling Trump steaks again and stuff, and
he's always been just.
Hey, which of the here's a little a thing I'd like to a little betting pool I'd like to be in. Which of the Trump kids do you think will be indicted first? They're all going to try to make money off of Trump being president, but which one will actually violate the law?
Well, who's been in the racket the longest? So I'd say
Eric. I'm voting on Eric. My dollar's on Eric.
Well, he's the oldest, right? No, Donald's the oldest.
No, Donald's the oldest. Eric's the.
But Ivanka's the one that's had all the power. She's the one that's made all the deals in the Mideast.
Friends of Chelsea.
She's the one. She's the one who's going to be the dirtiest because she's been in the.
Dirtiest, but probably also most
been
careful.
Doing the real slutty business Okay, I mean,
But she'll also be most careful, right? I don't see her getting caught. I
I'm not
see
saying she's going to
Eric.
get caught for her
I
past crimes. I'm saying she's probably going to get caught for the past crimes. Okay, and she's the one that has the
in the
Trump
history
Tower
books.
in Badai, and they have the Trump Tower and all these other scummy little locations.
Yes.
That's her.
Well, also, they are going to be investigated for 4 years, and they do have Russian connections.
I
So,
don't know who they're going to be. Who's going to do all this investigation? The incompetent inept media. Oh, gee, that's going to be so impressive.
the private media, the
Yeah, well,
Snowdens,
I'm just saying. I don't. I
the
don't think. I
Snowdens,
don't think
and the
they're going to. I don't think they're
WikiLeakses.
going to accomplish shit. To tell you the truth.
Hey, this is another subject. What about this WikiLeaks? I mean, Assange was so anti-Hillary. It was so political. It was funny. I mean, I'm pro them, and I'm still pro him because those were real emails, but they were really in the hands of helping Trump.
They're just trolls. Okay, so you want to call
The
hackers.
WikiLeaks.
Hackers and trolls are not on my list of good guys. Okay, I am a
Is that how you've always felt about
I'm a
Assange?
law and order guy. Okay, if you work for the FBI and you make an oath, you have a certain responsibility. You have security clearance.
Uh,
You have an obligation having those security clearances. You don't use it as your own discretion to sabotage people. And that's all they're doing it at their own discretion. They pick the targets
so,
they want to destroy, and those targets they destroy. But if they find out their grandmother's a fucking crook, I bet all of a sudden that paper will
without
that'll
WikiLeaks,
fall off his desk and land in the garbage can.
well,
So,
don't you,
so I think
Gary?
they're fucking hypocrites. I don't think they're out to fucking tell the truth.
Right.
They're out to sabotage people.
So,
Well,
Gary, do you
I'll
think
sabotage.
without WikiLeaks' stuff, Hillary would have won, right?
I'm saying I'd rather have a fair fight. I don't think it. No, I don't even think the stuff that came out of WikiLeaks even means anything. It is the lamest crap. Oh, Hillary said she has.
Right, but does that mean you don't think it affected the election?
A public and a private position. I think Donald Trump has a public and a private decision.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I do think.
Donald Trump drops the M-bomb all over the place in his fucking apartment.
But the question is whether it had an effect on the election.
Well, no. The point is whether or not people can rationally understand any of this shit, and they can't. Quite obviously, they can't put.
Well, yeah, I agree. It's an idiocracy moment. I mean,
any kind of perspective. She goes to a place which is getting paid $500,000 to make a speech to people, and people have the expectation that she would say, "You bankers are a bunch of scumbags." Okay, working for you're just fucking butlers to the fucking filthy rich. You're just screwing us over, trying to kind of find ways to fuck the middle class. No, I guess they're not going to pay her $500,000 to do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why she lost. And then the other thing is that it's totally idiocracy. It's 100% idiocracy. It's like a satire.
WikiLeaks had nothing to do with why she lost. She lost because she had no answer on the subject of immigration.
Or any other subject, really. She just ran on, he's a pussy grabber. And that's like, it's the 21st century.
Well, I mean, she did run on a sort of a rational campaign. Is she should have just said overtly, she should have said, look, I suck. But he sucks a lot worse, and that might have been.
Oh, but that's fine. I agree. I wanted her to say that. She said it, but she never also said, "Hey, minimum wage. Hey, we'll cover those
again." That wouldn't
premiums."
have worked. That wouldn't. A minimum wage doesn't work when people think it's just going to go to some guy named Julio.
Well, I disagree with you because it worked for Bernie, but whatever.
Well, you're saying it worked for Bernie, and I'm saying nothing would have worked for Bernie. You think Bernie was God. Bernie was a piece of steel.
I don't think Bernie was God.
Donald Trump would have totally raped
the Superman, but not God.
He would have raped him. He would have bent him over and raped him.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah,
You're an old man that thinks socialism can't
Hillary Clinton, except for the fucking war, which Bernie supported, and the only other.
But Bernie didn't support the war.
Yeah, he did. Big pieces of it, he did. Yes, he did. He's a pro-Israel guy. He likes when we kill Arabs.
Well, I agree that Bernie isn't 100%, a pacifist or anything. So there's some of that, but he didn't vote for the Iraq War, though.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't know what his position was on Obama's.
Well, I just would like to say that my support for Bernie is
Spring.
not on his hippy dippy side. It's on the fact that he does know how to make legislation side. I want somebody that's competent at actually how does it work that you make the new rules that we live by.
That's where again I just think you don't need.
He might not been that person, but you know what I mean. Then I was wrong.
Stand up that nobody. Donald Trump did exactly what a Democrat should have done. They should have stood up and said, "This is all a big fucking racket." Okay, fuck all these cunts.
And well, Bernie said that.
He didn't say that. I mean,
yeah, he did.
The standard DNC crap. Tax and spend.
No, he said break up the banks.
He said tax and spend.
He said break up the banks.
No. He said, college debt. Yes, we have to fix that. We have to give all these people some free money. And we have to make college free because education should be free because free is
maybe fun. You're right. Maybe you're right because I really like the break up the banks angle that he also said.
Well,
but
again, maybe
he didn't make a big enough point of that.
Not the fucking problem. The richest
yes, they are.
The richest people in the world are not the bankers. The richest people in the world are the people who own the banks.
Yes, the owners of the banks. And if we broke up the banks, that would affect those guys.
Again, you just don't listen to anything. You think the banking industry is the biggest industry. No, the biggest industry is the stock market, okay? And the companies that are in the stock market are the second biggest industries. But those are the industries. There's no banks. Banks are irrelevant. Banks are servants. They're just butlers to the rich. They just do the rich's bidding. They're the medium through which the rich get richer.
So I keep forgetting what your plan is for getting at the owners.
You have to get rid of their legacy wealth. So the number one thing to do is put in a increasing over the years tax, not only on incredible incomes over like $500,000 or something. You just have an obscene tax, and then you have a high tax on inheritances over $1 million. You just start taxing the shit out of it, and once the inheritance goes to like 5 million, you're taxing it 80 or 90%, and then they'll have to give the money to charity because they really won't want to waste 90% of the money to give it to their kids.
Right.
I mean, that's what forced Carnegie to build Carnegie Hall. That's what we forced.
Like they'll give it to a charity.
System. Okay, all the Kennedy Center was built because they were evading taxes.
They're giving it to a charity that their kid can take a salary from rather than losing.
Well, again, the 50c3, there's laws. Okay, Hillary Clinton was a crook. And Chelsea Clinton should be in fucking jail because a 50c3
said
50c3 foundation should not be paying somebody $2 million.
Don't you badmouth Chelsea Clinton.
Just saying. It's not a charity. If it's paying a CEO, I mean, it's like the Red Cross or something. If they're paying somebody $400,000 to run it, then it's not, in my opinion, they shouldn't get a tax deduction. You shouldn't get any tax deduction for giving to the Red Cross.
Well, right. I think that's a fair point. In general, the reason that is because the board of directors actually runs it, and they're not allowed to be paid. Of course, they can still collect speaking fees and stuff.
Well, I'm just saying that's why it has to be tightened up, because obviously none of these 50c3s have anything to do with charity. They have everything to do with creating employment opportunities for their dysfunctional families.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think also, though, it's a decent gimmick in that, like, a lot of the money donated to the Clinton Foundation, most of it, by far, still goes to the charities. So yeah, people get paid, but
goes there in all these crooked ways. So we find out that they're using second to third order AIDS drugs that they're giving away because they bought them from some shyster crook, on the black market or something. they're selling cocaine essentially. They're just in the business of selling. It's a racket. It's a money laundering.
Well, look, I don't want to be here defending the Clinton scam because, frankly, I think one of the things that as a silver lining that I get with having to put up with this Trump bullshit is the Clinton third way is dead, right? We get to kill it, and unless they make it rise again like a big zombie, I'm going to work and assume it's dead.
My argument is that the only rational course is neither the liberal course. The progressives are too fucking pie in the sky, and again, I'll state again, and the blue dog bullshit is disgustingly corporate, and it has to take the rational middle road, which is first do no harm. First, let's fix what's broken, okay, before we try to make something new to break.
Well, but none of that's going to happen for 4 years. It's like the question really is, I'm curious, what's going to happen for 4 years?
There's nothing to talk about. For 4 years, there's going to be a conservative religious
wall. Are they going to try to build a wall? They're going to have to talk about it.
Conservative religious kooks will be nominated to the federal courts, and the Republican House and Senate will approve all of the wackos, just the most insane.
Really, you think Trump will just go with the religious coup?
They'll have the 10 Commandments draped over their judge's desk. That's how.
Gary, I see that happening because of Pence and blah blah blah. But I also see, really, Trump. He's not religious at all. That's what he's going to oversee.
He's going to, yes, because that's a Reagan Democrat. So yes, that's Reagan. So Reagan was big on this Christian shit. The Christian shit.
Yeah, but that's the thing about Trump is he's more Las Vegas playing ticket.
He's not going to fuck these religious kooks. There's no way he's going to. There's no way he can fuck the religious kook. He's promised them way too much, and he's got a vice president that's going to be looking over his shoulder all the time.
Yeah.
Because Sarah Palin.
That looks like the likely thing.
The guy, people like Sarah Palin. This guy. This guy is a lunatic.
Well, that's what looks like is going to happen because of Pence, but it's also, I mean, some people are saying, not that I believe them, but they're like, oh, Trump only likes ideas that come from him personally. Therefore, he will not just cooperate. But in reality, I think he's the guy that relaxes a lot. And spends his money, and he will off-sell that all to Pence, who's going to shove all that dead shit through.
He's made it clear what he thinks. All this regulation shit is bullshit. Okay, there's no global warming.
What about this? What if they
haven't caused global warming? That's all a sham.
Right. So Pence.
Vaccines are poison. They're causing autism. It's just terrible.
Pence is really against.
Had an autistic kid, and yeah, it's just a disaster. This guy is an idiot.
So what about this? Pence is really against gay marriage and all that kind of thing.
For the 10 Commandments being taught.
So, yeah, do you think if they did attack gay marriage and all the rest, the trans in the bathrooms, any of that stuff, even the stuff that hasn't really happened yet, do you think there'd be a backlash that would hurt, the Republicans / Trump, or do you think they get away with it?
It's a tiny percentage of the population. Okay, this is a little lost cause that the fucking Democrats decide to make part of their coalition, but it's a meaningless demographic. Okay, so it has no power that the Democrats didn't give it. All right, so what do you want me to say? You think everybody's going to get hysterical over this stuff? No, I don't think they're going to have they're going to be too worried about the fact that they're going to get ruined financially by Trump to be worried about whether gays can go to the bathroom or not.
But so does that mean, do you think that there'll be they'll lose those rights?
There could be all kinds.
They'll lose the momentum of those rights.
All kinds of insane policies that come out of a federal court system run by religious kooks. Okay, so you could actually have. I mean, I speculate, but
in other words, it won't be up to Trump.
Have a men's right amendment passed through the fucking Congress that states that men have a right to tell women they can't abort their children.
Right, yeah. So that's what like the majority report is saying is that we'll probably have which I don't know if I agree, but like abortion and that kind of law, illegal in half the states. So what you're saying though is that whether Trump is this way or not doesn't matter because you think he's going to appoint these, and I tend to agree with you, these religious and heritage foundation judges throughout the court, and that's the way they're going to vote. Whether Trump agrees with how they rule doesn't really matter at that point. It'll be too late. And the point is, he's going to appoint that kind of judge. We know they'll rule that kind of way, and I hope that doesn't happen,
Trump
but I
has,
think it is going to
I
happen.
keep stressing this, but Trump has absolutely neither empathy or humility. He has neither one of these emotions in any sense.
Not like us,
Well,
not
not
like
like
you and me,
anybody, not
Gary.
like anybody.
We're humility.
He can't admit to a failing ever. Okay, a guy asked him, "Well, look,
Yeah,
your businesses went bankrupt. Don't you consider that a failure?" And he couldn't even say yes, it was a
yeah.
failure. He can't say the word that I failed.
No, you know what I thought was a big deal is when they asked him about have you sacrificed? And he's like, yeah, I made a big building. And the interviewer was like, no, I mean like you lost a leg. I made a big
Look,
building though.
he was asked by a guy, about the religious thing. He says, "Well, have you ever asked God for forgiveness?" And he couldn't say, "Yeah, I did."
Being a winner
He
is
couldn't do it. He
like
couldn't
as
even
if
say
being
the
a
word.
winner is the same as
He couldn't
sacrifice.
even admit that
Yeah.
in a God sense he has ever sinned. He couldn't even admit
You know what? I
that
was
he
really
ever
Gary,
sinned.
I was actually surprised, given that he can't take failure. I was surprised when they leaked his, probably his biggest failure in the form of a tax,
No, you
form
understand. No, you
that he was very
Trump is
composed.
9 years
He
old.
said shit all about it. He's like, I'm
Yeah. He goes home and
where's the 3
as
tweet?
Ivana Trump explains,
He's
he's a
very
baby.
controlled.
Okay, he has a tantrum. He cries. He throws some stuff around, and then he just like a cat. He's back in the present again. Okay, so he has his little tantrum. He gets over it, and then he just goes into tomorrow.
Right, but doesn't he tweet during that tantrum? Maybe not always. He might have some more control than we know. Certain tantrums, he's like, I'm not going to tweet about this.
I'm just saying that you
He's
can't.
in the whirlpool,
Can't test him
Robinson.
in any way. He just has one mindset, okay? And the mindset is, I'm just doing Trump, 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 Trump. That's all he's doing. He just has Trump going on in his head. And so he just
Well, isn't that the sad part?
Trump. And so Trump falls down. He's, oh, get up, Trump, 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 Trump. Oh, fell
Isn't
down.
that the sad part, Gary?
Trump.
Gary, isn't that the sad part? The poor guy's like almost 70. And it's like at 70, if I've got $100 million, hopefully the last thing
I
I'm
know
doing
you
is
say
trying to be president.
fucking thing to Hillary Clinton. You can say after all
I am trying to,
embarrassments, after all your catastrophe of
yeah.
embarrassment.
If I was Trump, I'd be trying to find the best place to party in the Caribbean.
She lost to Obama because she lied through her teeth. After all these fucking failures, she's a 70-year-old bag of shit, and she shows up and says, "I want to do it again." I mean, you're just like, "Fuck you, bitch! Get out of the way."
Yeah, no, I think that's true. And, it's true because, I mean, I don't like all the language about it exactly, but it's basically true. I mean, she didn't even campaign in the places that she lost that she assumed she would win, the blue wall, Michigan, Wisconsin. She didn't even go there. It's like, and then they're complaining, oh, look at how low her turnout is. Yeah, because she only goes to places that don't like her. Why don't you go to a place that likes you? There's actually a benefit in that. And it's called losing Michigan by 13,000 votes. She could have won this election. She is such a bad campaigner. And it's not just that she's not a good speaker. She's actually like a bad
Well, I mean,
general,
that backseat
bad
driving,
strategist.
okay, whatever. I don't know if I don't really know that these backseat driving kind of stuff is worth the trouble. But
No, it's
frankly,
obviously
I don't know
true.
if I would know all the ins and outs and predict just right where to put all my money and how to fucking manipulate people and blah
You
blah blah.
because you're not as smart as me
Well, I'm just
about
saying, right?
politics.
So if you think you have that figured out, okay, fine. I'm not
No,
sure.
I would admit I don't have it figured out,
Let's find a computer
but
somewhere
I'm
on
right.
the Hero program, and we'll find out whether it
I
was.
would admit I don't have it figured out, but I do think I'm right. I mean, seriously, she ran
I'm
even
just saying,
conventionally.
in
Even
so
conventionally, she
many
ran a
ways,
bad.
she ran a pretty professional fucking campaign. I mean, she came back from the
No,
fucking pneumonia thing strong as fuck. I mean,
yeah,
Trump
that's
is
true.
sniffling all over the place, and she's nailing every subject, and she's fighting, and she's
But
in
she went almost a year without a press conference. She
there.
went. She didn't go
Well, I'm
to.
just saying she couldn't do press conferences because it was just going to be rag number 5,068,000 about the email. So there's no way she could do it because the media
But
only.
she also didn't go to Wisconsin, or and she didn't. She didn't really work hard enough.
I'm just not too sure that that stuff really makes any goddamn difference.
Oh,
I think
I
the
think it
7
does.
commercials do a lot more than the fucking.
Well,
I showed
conventional
up at a
wisdom.
rally with a bunch of people that are already going to vote for me. I really don't think you convince.
Yeah, conventional wisdom says it does, but I'm saying that as an also an admission that who knows, conventional wisdom was wrong in this election, so whatever.
Yeah,
But I
you
think
only
she
make
could have
those
worked harder.
to get you on TV, right?
But wait, you must understand that
On TV, right? That
I think
works for
she could have
Trump.
worked
It
harder.
doesn't work for Hillary. So, I mean, how many Trump speeches did you see, or at least have not no knowledge of stadium speeches versus Hillary's campaign event?
Yeah.
I barely saw any of Hillary's on the news. So the news I saw wasn't covering Hillary
Well,
any.
she didn't make as many, and plus,
And she,
Trump
she
called.
made plenty. She stumped all over the
She
fucking
didn't make
place.
as many.
I'm just saying she made more than Trump.
No,
Yeah, she made more campaign stops than Trump.
I don't think so.
Trump did one a week.
Well, anyway, the real people to blame is the American people, and we're an idiocracy.
That's my point. And the only way to get out
Yeah,
of
me
the
too. I mean, that is our point, Gary. Here is a joint
the stupid
thing.
progressives have
You
to
gotta blame the people. Fuck them.
No, and you're gonna. It's not even the stupid people you have to blame. You have to blame.
No,
You have to blame the smart people because
my mom's smart. She
they're
like
not
Trump.
taking control of the bus. Well, you're saying she's smart. If she voted for Trump, she's obviously failed the fundamental.
I know she failed an intelligence test,
Somebody
but I
is
swear
smart
to
and
God.
voted for Trump. It's impossible to be smart and vote for Trump. It's not possible.
But that's the whole thing. That's what we're dealing with in America is that difference, that 5% difference was people that are in a one-way smart, but also total idiots. No, but they're smart in that they could figure out a Sudoku puzzle or whatever. You know what I mean? They're not
Yeah, my
idiots.
father can do crossword puzzles.
Right, do crosswords,
He's an imbecile.
raise a plant.
He's an imbecile in the sense that he doesn't understand how the world really works. So he's an
Right.
imbecile.
Well, that's true too. So they're all imbeciles that way. But I'm saying, let's remember, they're imbeciles that can do logic puzzles.
I know, but my point to you still remains is that the people like the Sam Harrises, all the fucking intellectuals out there.
Now that's who I really hate.
Have
The
to quit,
Sam
have to
Harrises.
quit doing this mamby-pamby bullshit, and they have to realize that they are responsible for these jackasses and that they have to educate the public. So that's the only hope, is there has to be a coalition of smart people that realize that you can't do it the way they're trying to do it.
Well, it's not going to be Sam Harris, Gary. I hate to tell you, but Sam Harris is not going to be on that bus.
Well, why? Because he's a little bit of he's a little fanatic on Muslims.
No, I've been listening to some of his podcasts. He just basically is too. He's very definitely too self-smug in a million different ways that are. He's not going to.
The point is he's highly articulate and he makes really good arguments. So I'm just saying you want to rag on him, that's fine. I'm just saying he fits into the intellectual category, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I wish he said better things.
Category of being somebody who can explain things to other people, which is important.
Yes, I've caught that as far. Yeah.
These smart people have to do some kind of cabal. They have to get together and they have to argue out what the hell a rational policy is that doesn't have anything to do with graft, doesn't have to do with business interest, just has to do with the interest of America, the nation, and its future. And so they have to figure out how to have sustainable policies that actually work, not this voodoo crap. Let's have a resource economy and we won't have money and we'll just live off of the stuff and nobody has to work. I mean, you can't do it that way.
I agree with you. I don't think Sam Harris is going to be a part of that, but
I think Sam Harris would be very interested in some kind of incentive economic system where people are giving incentives but not preposterous rewards for not.
Well, even though I disagree with Sam Harris, I would say yes, that's fine. He could be a part of what I see as a more rational.
The global.
He could represent the right-wing, closed-minded view that is a part of the nation. No, I do agree, and that's why Trump as president is like, I do believe in democracy, probably more than you. That now that we deal with that.
Well, I don't think there's any point in having a democracy when you're not given a candidate who goes through a system that has any kind of integrity. Again, first, the idea of these people running, right? I mean, Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton was shit and shit. So, and then we have the shit run against the other piece of shit.
No, you're wrong.
I'm just saying,
Bernie was great.
To me, that's not a democracy. The democracy would be is that you have first an election for who gets into the primary, in the sense that these candidates have to have some sort of representation behind them, and you're not just stuck with a choice between a sack of shit and a sack of shit.
Well, Bernie wasn't a sack of shit.
I didn't say he wasn't. I'm just saying there was nothing. I read his platform. I was sitting there just saying, I liked Bernie Sanders when he was a congressman. I liked that he made it to Senate. Okay, I like what he did in the Senate mostly. But I'm just saying, when I read his platform, I'm just saying, fuck, you can't sell this shit to Americans. They've been fucked over by this fucking tax and spend shit forever, you fucker. You can't do this infinite welfare state shit. You can't sell this to people. People are sick of it.
See, I actually think that you can, but that you shouldn't to some degree, right? I don't want to sell. I think that you can sell the national treasury to the people, but you shouldn't. Right? But I don't think Bernie did that.
But I'm just saying it. Well, he did it in the sense that he didn't have any real constructive way to finance what he was talking about. So it was another unfinanced daydream that the Democratic Party has been guilty of since the beginning. Obamacare is a perfect example. It's a wonderful idea of giving everybody insurance, but there was absolutely no financing plan. The financing plan was, I'll steal the money from the poor, and then I'll give it to the poor, and then I'll steal it from that poor guy and give it to this other poor guy. I mean, it was a circular steal from the poor fucking solution that makes no sense.
Well, it would have made sense if they could have done it with young people who, when they're old, are going to need health care.
Well, again, this is another argument.
They think they don't, but they will.
Healthcare. I'm just saying, then you're going to have to make them all mortgage their houses, because you can't have it both ways. You can't have an income where you get to purchase a house and at the same time spend $400,000 on your death. If you're going to have a $400,000 death, it has to be paid for out of something, and it means it has to come out of your house.
Well, I mean, we probably both agree.
They don't have any other equity but their home. So you either tax them out.
You and I probably agree that a lot of people should just greet their death more economically, right?
I'm
Like
just
the
saying
death,
that
like death panels is
gigantic,
okay,
expensive
actually.
thing, and you have to do it rationally. You can't do it irrationally. And I'm just saying it's just like the solar panel thing. I'm just saying we're doing it the most irrational way. We're just
Right.
squandering the value of the damn
Well,
thing.
I'm fine with that, and
We're
I
throwing
also think
70% of the value in the garbage. It's just stupid.
well, I think we agree in that. I mean, I think people should greet their death much more expensively than $400,000. It should be 20 or $30,000.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that this is a reality that people aren't dealing with. Is that you can't.
I am. I'm ready right now. I wish if
Very
they get.
true. We're talking about the idiocracy. I'm just saying the idiocracy
Yeah.
doesn't make any connection between health care and real assets in the economy. And they think you can have an infinite amount of health care and it doesn't have to come out of some other purse. They don't see the checkbook balance. They don't see that you have to have
Well, what do you think? But you
floating all
think
boats
that
out there.
Trump.
They think you can float the healthcare boat as high as you want, and nobody ever has to pay for it. No other boat goes
So
down.
you think that Trump is going to replace it with.
He's just going to replace it with what existed before, which sucked, but it was cheaper.
Right, yeah. I don't know. That's the hard part for me to know because he's really pretty invested in this replace, which implies something like, well, anyway, I don't know. I'm probably
Well,
biased.
obviously,
I have an
look,
interest in the
even if he had a
pre-existing
secret plan,
condition.
even if he had a secret plan to do single payer, he could never get it through the Republican House. So it's not going to happen. I'd never get it through the Republicans. The Senate, forget about it. There's no fucking possible way you could ever get it.
That's what it seems to
So,
me
so, so,
too.
so that's dead in the water. Even if that's a little secret dream of Trump's, he ain't going to get that in the first 4 years. And like I said, that's the only 4 years he's showing up for.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's hard to know. He's so weird. He feels like that he is a wild card, but really, yeah, how could he possibly get that
He's
through?
just going to do the worst, just come up with, just imagine your worst Republican nightmare, and that's what's going to happen. So it's going to be just your worst Republican nightmare. There's nothing else going to happen here except your worst Republican nightmare.
I think you're probably right. I mean, still, like you admitted, he's not as bad as like President Ted
He's
Cruz.
on steroids, okay?
He's almost as bad, but not as bad as President
They knew
Cruz.
Rich on steroids.
Admit to me, he's not as bad as Ted Cruz.
Well, you can say he's not, but I don't think either. It would be a very close call to see who could fuck it up more.
He could fuck it up more if he. I mean, I'm concerned. I don't know where you stand on the specifics of the Iran thing, but to me, that's the thing. I don't like that he's already committed to breaking the Iran deal. It's like I'm pretty sure that's a good deal.
Well, I mean, if he's going to break it after they've got their money back, at least, so at least they won't have as much reason to stink about it. But I mean, this whole idea of what's he going to do? Put the sanctions back in place? Well, good luck with that. So go ahead and piss off some more Arabs. Great idea.
Well, that's a good point, though. That's a good point. They got their Shah money back, so it's already in a way too late to break the important part of it. Yeah, well, I imagine he will do that, though, as far as like just whatever it takes to make clear we're enemies.
Well, if he's going to do, I'm just saying, if that's going to be his attitude, let's see. Look, he already said he's going to do this law and order thing with he won't tell us his secret plan, but obviously he's going to start blowing some shit up, I imagine, because that's
what he seemed to have promised.
Still, all of ISIS is going to be gone. I mean, Donald Trump's going to get rid of ISIS for us. So apparently, I think the only way you can do that is to kill, 500,000 Muslims. But I don't know. I guess that's his plan.
Something like that. Yeah, right. Exactly. Something like that, I think, is in the cards. So yeah, probably ISIS, since he's out against the Iraq war and the Afghanistan. Who knows? Every war except for ISIS, he'll probably. Well, that's the other funny thing. People were acting like, oh no, Hillary. And another stupid thing Hillary did in her campaign is like foment with Russia, which was the one issue she didn't need to pursue. But I think that he's just as likely to come up against Russia, not in Syria probably, but over there in the Middle East. The thing is,
Well, it's
I don't know.
complicated, obviously. I mean, Turkey's got its tentacles all through all of this shit too.
We don't know what he really thinks of it all.
So once he starts blowing shit up, he's going to find out too late. Oh, what do you mean? I blew up something that Turkey owns? Oh, well, gee, sorry, fellas. I think he's going to obviously step on some toes, but it's going to make a mess.
I think so too. He just isn't knowledgeable enough to avoid that. Because in a way, even if you are knowledgeable enough, it's complicated enough that it's hard to avoid. So
he's one of these assholes who would say, "Oh, look, you don't sit around thinking about it. You just make a fucking decision." I mean, he's one of these kind of assholes, right? He's not like the pictures of Kennedy sitting in the Oval.
Well, right. He'll probably be asked.
Kennedy during the Cuban Missile Crisis. He's in the Oval Office thinking.
Even less than that. I think he'll just be asking.
I'm president, and I'm thinking. Trump doesn't do any of that.
Yeah.
Trump does. Fuck him.
Yeah, and he's going to have thousands of people on his staff, which I think is more than he's ever had. And he is going to offload things like that to Pence. And that's why it's going to be the worst Republican nightmare, like you said, because that's obviously what Pence would have in store.
Yeah, they're not going to. Of course, they're going to be playing Trump. Your Dick Cheney types and all the rest of them.
Yep.
They're thinking about their own advantages with the companies they've made deals with and those special interests. And they're going to say, "Come on, Donald, but Donald, you can't let them get away with this. You really got to do something, Donald. Come on, do it for the people. Come on, Donald, you can do it." So he's going to have all these people encouraging to do shit he wouldn't ever even thought of because of their special interest.
Yeah. Do you think Donald Trump cares what the public thinks of him?
He doesn't care about anything. I keep telling you that. All he cares about is the sign, Trump, 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 Trump.
Right, but doesn't he in some way...
The sign starts getting dimmer. He says, I got to put more Trump in. Got to pump the Trump. He's a fucking, he's not a human being. He's a fucking, little psychotic 10-year-old. I'm going to be a professional basketball player. I mean, he's like a 10-year-old who says, what are you going to do when you're a grown-up? Oh, I want to be a professional basketball player.
Well, that's the part I can't believe that Americans voted for that. I'm the best. My temperament's the best. My everything. My everything's the best. My dick, my everything.
Well, what sins? I haven't committed no fucking sins.
Who goes for that? I didn't think any Americans were really into somebody that was that way.
Remember when the Mexican president guy says, hey, Donald, I ain't paying for no fucking wall, right? Yeah. And what was Donald Trump's response?
He's tired.
He said a bad word. Did you see that? He said, President of Mexico, he said a bad word.
That's terrible.
What the fuck is going on? The president of Mexico just said fuck. How the fuck are you people putting up with that? I mean, it's that moronic.
I know, yeah, it's idiocracy. We're definitely in 4 years of, okay, idiots, see how that works out. The sad thing is, I want to think that, well, I guess they'll see. And then the reality is going to be, they don't admit to what they see ever. So I have no idea what they're really going to think of Trump at the end. They'll probably be like, yeah, he was terrible. I don't admit to having supported him.
Trump is going to survive this. So as much as Trump thinks he's going to be able to salvage the Trump name, no, this will be like all his other bankruptcies, okay? He's just going to keep seeing the lights going out. He's going to be desperate. Oh, I got to make a loan or I got to do something. I gotta call Daddy.
Well, I think you're right, but
I can't call Daddy. How the fuck I call Daddy? He's dead.
I think you're right, but
Ivanka might be able to do something. I'll call Ivanka.
I honestly don't hope that that's true
I mean, the
because
economy is sitting
uh,
teetering on fucking absolute vapors. It's just teetering on vapors. All right, there's no fucking way he can't knock the whole thing over. There's no
yeah,
way he's going to be able to walk through this china shop without everything going. Everything's going to the ground.
you're probably right. Well, I've got to go. Thanks for showing up.
All right, shithead.
All right, asshole. I'll talk to you later.
Head dumb motherfucking cunt. All
All
right.
right, nice to see you too.
Yeah.
I'll visit you soon.
Give it back, you his moronic fucking blah blah. Nothing but blah
Okay.
blah 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 blah.
All right. Take it easy,
Yeah,
you
whatever.
shit stain of a motherfucker.
You cunt bastard, stinky herpes.
Oh, fuck. You got the last words. I ran out.